Divorced men. When ex begged, "I've changed." How did she react when you laughed? Story 1. My ex, Tessa, texted me at 11:47 p.m. after 6 months of silence. "Can we talk? I've changed." I only replied because curiosity is free. She asked to meet at the coffee shop where she used to work late on Thursdays. I walked in and she was already there, hands wrapped around a cup like she was auditioning for a redemption arc. She started with the rehearsed lines: therapy, journaling, finding herself, and the classic, "I'm not that person anymore." Then she slid her phone across the table and showed me a notes app list titled, "Things I Did Wrong." It was long. It was dramatic. It was also type. "I've changed," she whispered, eyes wet, and I laughed. Not a cruel movie villain laugh, a real one, the kind you can't stop because your brain is connecting dots too fast. Her face froze. "Why would you laugh?" "Because last time you changed, it was your password," I said. "You changed it to his birthday." She snapped. "That's not fair." I leaned back. "You want fair? I'll give you fair. You didn't change. You just ran out of options." She went pale. "What options?" I pointed at her left hand. "No ring, no manicure, no confidence. You're here because the guy you replaced me with didn't want the new you. He wanted the old you, until it got expensive." Her mouth opened, then closed. She tried again, softer. "I miss us." "That's the problem," I said. "You miss the benefits, not the man." She started crying. "People looked," she whispered. "So you're just going to mock me?" I shrugged. "No, I'm going to live. That's different." When I stood to leave, she grabbed my sleeve. "Please." "I'm begging." I looked down at her hand on my jacket and laughed again, quieter this time. "You begged before. You begged me to stay while you were already leaving." I walked out with my coffee untouched, laughing the whole way to my car. Not because it was funny, but because it was finally clear. Story 2. I ran into my ex, Marisol, at our son's school pickup. She approached like she'd practiced in the mirror. Soft voice, small smile, mature posture. The woman used to scream at me over a fork being in the wrong drawer. Now she acted like a counselor. "Hey," she said. "Can we talk privately?" I already knew what was coming. These people don't change their scripts, just their outfits. We stepped away. She took a long breath. "I've changed. I know I hurt you. I'm not asking you to forget. I'm asking you to see me now." And I laughed. Instinctively. Like my body beat my brain to it. Her eyes flashed. "Seriously? You want me to see you now?" I said. "Okay. I see you. You're doing damage control." Her lip trembled. "That's not what this is." I nodded toward the parking lot where a beat-up sedan sat with a sagging trunk. "That your car?" She stiffened. "Yes." "So, last year you told me you'd never drive anything that looked poor. You said that while I was paying for your SUV?" I laughed again. "So yeah, I see you." She got defensive. "My circumstances are different. That's my favorite part," I said. "You didn't find empathy. You found consequences." She inhaled sharply. "I'm trying to be better for our son." "Good," I replied. "Be better. Just not with me." Her eyes watered and she reached into her purse, pulling out a folded paper. "I wrote you a letter. I didn't take it. You used to write letters to him too. Remember? I found them in your glove box. That did it." Her face twisted. "You're still punishing me," I laughed. But this time it was cold. "No. Punishment would be me taking you back. The sentence would be life." She looked like I slapped her. "So you'll never believe me." I glanced toward our son, laughing with another kid, carefree. "I believe you changed one thing," I said. "Your audience. You used to perform for him. Now you're performing for me." The bell rang. She wiped her eyes fast like she couldn't afford to look messy in public. I walked back to my son and held his hand, leaving her with her letter and her script. Story 3. 2 years after the divorce, my ex, Paige, emailed me from a new address titled Closure Plus Growth. I almost deleted it on principle, but the subject line was so aggressively optimistic I had to read it. She wanted to meet as adults at a wine bar. I went because I'm a grown man, and because I've learned that watching someone try to rewrite history can be entertaining. She arrived wearing the kind of dress she used to claim was too much for my company events. Sat down, smiled, and said, "I've changed." I took a sip of water. "Has anyone ever told you that you say that like it's a product launch?" She blinked. "I'm serious. I'm not impulsive anymore. I'm stable. I'm humble." I laughed. Right there, out loud. Her smile cracked. "Why would you laugh? This is hard for me." "It's hard for you?" I asked. "Paige, you left me a post-it note on the fridge. You wrote, 'I'm choosing myself.' That's not hard. That's lazy." She got red. "I was in a dark place, and I was paying the electric bill in that dark place," I said, laughing again. "But sure, go on." She leaned forward, intense. "I'm not asking to move in tomorrow. I'm asking for a chance. I want to show you the new me. I nodded slowly. Okay, show me. Her face brightened, until I added, show me by apologizing without using therapy words. Silence. She opened her mouth, then closed it. I'm sorry for the ways my trauma... I burst out laughing. I couldn't help it. It felt like watching a magician pull the same scarf out of the same sleeve. She slammed her glass down. You're being cruel. No, I said, wiping my eyes. Cruel is leaving someone to drown and then coming back bragging you learned to swim. She stood up, trembling. So that's it? You're just bitter forever? I smiled. I'm not bitter. I'm free. She walked out fast and I sat there feeling lighter than I had in years. The best part? The next morning she sent another email. I can see you're not healed. That one made me laugh all over again. Story 4. My ex, Dana, showed up at my apartment unannounced with a bakery box and a face full of humility. The same woman who once told me, no one will ever love you like I do, now stood in my hallway like a timid salesperson. I've changed, she said immediately, like she needed to get the line out before I shut the door. Can we talk? I looked at the box. What's that? Your favorite cupcakes, she said softly. I remembered. I laughed. It slipped out because it was absurd. You remembered my cupcakes but forgot my birthday 3 years in a row? Her eyes widened. That's not... It's exactly that, I said, still half laughing. You're not here because you changed. You're here because you're lonely. She swallowed. I made mistakes. You made choices, I corrected. Mistakes are when you grab salt instead of sugar. You grabbed another man. Tears formed instantly, like a reflex. I'm begging you. I'm different now. I laughed harder, not because she was pathetic, but because I could finally see the pattern. She only ever begged when she couldn't control the outcome. What happened? I asked. Let me guess. The soulmate turned out to have a soul and a mate already? She flinched. That told me everything. You don't get to do this, she whispered. Do what? Laugh at me when I'm trying. I leaned on the doorframe. Dana, I begged too. You laughed then. You laughed when I said I felt invisible. You said I was dramatic. Her voice shook. I didn't mean... You never do, I said. That's your superpower. She pushed the box toward me. Just take them, please. I didn't touch it. You know what's wild? I said. 2 years ago, cupcakes would have worked. You trained me to accept crumbs. She started sobbing. Neighbors could hear. Her mascara ran. She looked up, desperate. So you really don't love me anymore? I laughed one last time, quieter, almost gentle. I don't even recognize you as my problem anymore. Then I closed the door. Through it, I heard the bakery box hit the floor. Story 5. My ex, Kira, called me from a blocked number. I almost didn't answer, but I did, because blocked numbers usually mean chaos, and I like to know what kind. Her voice was small. It's me. Please don't hang up. I didn't speak. She rushed. I've changed. I know you hate me. I deserve it. But I've changed. I laughed immediately, like a cough. Like my chest just expelled a reaction. There was a pause. Did you just laugh? Yes, I said. Because you started with, I deserve it, like that earns you points. She started crying. I'm alone. I'm scared. I messed up my life. I leaned back on my couch, staring at the ceiling fan. And I miss you, she whispered. I miss home. That line hit me like deja vu. She used to say home when she wanted forgiveness, and space when she wanted freedom. I chuckled again. Kira, you didn't miss home when you were packing your suitcase at 2 a.m. to go clear your head at his place. She gasped. How do you... I know, I said. That's why I'm laughing. You're calling like I'm supposed to be shocked you ended up exactly where you were headed. Her breathing got sharp. I went to counseling. I'm medicated. I'm different. I laughed harder. You listed that like a resume. Stop, she snapped. And the old Kira flashed through for half a second. Stop laughing at me. There it was. The truth. The changed version lasted 30 seconds under pressure. I'm not laughing because you're hurting, I said. I'm laughing because you're still trying to make your pain my responsibility. Silence. Then she whispered, so you're not coming to get me? I laughed one final time, steady and clear. No, I'm not your rescue mission anymore. She hung up. 2 minutes later, she texted from a different number. You were never a real man anyway. I stared at it and laughed so hard I had to wipe my eyes. Because if that's changed, I can't imagine what the same looks like. Story 6. My ex, Chloe, cornered me at my grandmother's funeral reception. Classy timing. She waited until I was alone near the coffee urn, then stepped in with that careful voice people use when they want forgiveness without earning it. I've changed, she whispered. I know I hurt you. I'm not that person anymore. I stared at her black dress, the perfect hair, the practiced sadness, and I laughed. a short, sharp sound that didn't belong in a room full of grief. Her face twitched. Why would you laugh? This isn't funny. No, I said, lowering my cup. It's familiar. She reached into her purse and pulled out a small envelope. I wrote you something. I'm trying to make amends. I nodded at the envelope. You used to write him letters too. Her eyes widened. Who? I laughed again. See? The new you is already lying. You didn't know I found them because you never imagined I'd stop protecting you. She grabbed my arm. Please. Not here. Then why are you here? I asked, loud enough that a couple heads turned. She released me like my skin burned. I wanted to show respect. For my grandma? I said. Or for the fact that your boyfriend dumped you and you remembered I always cleaned up your messes? Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. Tears appeared on cue. I leaned in, voice low. You don't get to come to a funeral and audition for redemption? She shook, whispering, I'm sorry. I really am. I smiled, and it probably looked cruel. If you were sorry, you'd leave without needing me to say anything. She stood there, frozen, waiting for my permission. That's when I realized she hadn't changed at all. She just needed a new authority figure. I laughed one last time and walked away. Toward my family. Toward real grief. Away from her performance. Story 7. I was at the gym, headphones on, when my ex, Natalie, tapped my shoulder like she owned access to me. She looked different. Lighter, brighter, like she'd rebranded. Hey, she said. Can we talk? I pulled one earbud out. Make it quick. She clasped her hands together. I've changed. I'm in therapy. I'm sober. I'm doing the work. I laughed. Mid-rep. Nearly dropped the dumbbells. Her expression hardened. You always do that. You always minimize me. No, I said, setting the weights down carefully. I'm laughing because you said doing the work like it's a coupon. She swallowed. I'm serious. I ruined a good thing. I want to fix it. I looked her up and down. You want to fix it now that I look fixed? Her jaw tightened. That's not fair. I pulled my phone out and showed her the notification from last week. Her comment on my progress photo. Proud of you. She hadn't texted me in a year, but she had time to perform for strangers. You didn't change, I said. You noticed I stopped breaking. Tears welled. I was lost. I didn't know how to love. I laughed again, quieter. You knew exactly how. You just didn't like the kind that required you to be accountable. She stepped closer. I miss us. I nodded toward the mirrors. You miss this. You miss being able to claim me when I look valuable. That made her snap. You think I'm shallow? I smiled. I don't think. I remember. Her eyes flicked around. People were watching. She lowered her voice. Can we at least start over as friends? And that's when I laughed for real. Friends don't abandon you and return when you glow up. She stood there, stunned, then hissed. So you're just going to punish me forever? I put my earbud back in. No. I'm going to ignore you forever. That's different. Story 8. My ex, Aaron, showed up at my new place with a casserole. A casserole? Like we were in a sitcom where betrayal is solved with baked cheese. She smiled like a church volunteer. I've changed, she said. I just want to talk. I leaned against the door frame. You found my address. I asked your sister, she admitted, then quickly added, I didn't mean to cross boundaries. I laughed. You didn't mean to cross boundaries? You crossed them so often we needed a map. Her smile slipped. I deserve that. I do. But I'm different now. I nodded at the casserole dish. Is this the new you? Food as an apology? She frowned. Why are you being like this? I'm trying. You're trying because your life got small, I said. Not because your heart got big. Her eyes flashed with anger, then softened again like she was flipping a switch. I made mistakes. I laughed again, louder. You keep calling them mistakes like the guy fell into you. She trembled. I was unhappy, and you solved it by making sure I'd be unhappy too, I said. You didn't change. You just got tired of the consequences. She took a step forward. Please. I'm begging. I miss you. I laughed, but this time it sounded like relief. You miss the version of me that would accept this. Her face crumpled. I can be better. I nodded. Be better. For someone else. She stared at me like she couldn't understand a world where she didn't get a second chance on demand. When she finally turned to leave, she whispered, one day you'll regret being so cold. I laughed as I closed the door. I already regretted being warm. Never again. Story 9. My ex Jasmine called me after midnight, sobbing so hard I could barely understand her. I've changed, she choked out. Please. I need you. I didn't ask what happened. I already knew the category. Crisis. She only contacted me when something was on fire. I'm listening, I said. She inhaled, shaky. I'm at my friend's. I had nowhere else to go. I made a terrible choice and she broke down again. I'm not that person anymore. I laughed. Not because she was crying. Because she was still doing it, using emotion like a battering ram. Her sobs stopped. Did you just laugh? Yes, I said plainly. Because you sound like you're reading from the script you used in court. Her voice hardened. You're heartless. No, I replied. I'm trained. She went quiet. Then softer. He hit me. That sentence sat heavy. I didn't laugh again. I took a breath. If you're in danger, call the police. If you need a shelter, I can look up numbers. She sniffed. So you won't come get me? There it was. The real request. I won't be your husband again, I said, but I won't leave you in danger. Those are different. She started crying again. I don't have anyone. You had someone, I said. You traded me for him. You don't get to trade back like I'm store credit. She whispered. I'm sorry. I believe you're sorry, I said. I don't believe you've changed. Her voice cracked. Please. Just this once. I laughed, small, bitter. You said just this once every time. It was always just this once until my life was nothing but once. I sent her resources, stayed on the phone until she was safe, then hung up. Helping her survive didn't mean reopening the door. That was the line I'd learned the hard way. Story 10. My ex, Brianna, approached me at a mutual friend's wedding like she'd planned it. Not to celebrate the couple. No, to capture me in public, where I'd be pressured to act polite. She touched my elbow. Hi, you look good. I turned. Thanks. Her eyes shimmered. Can we talk? I've changed. I laughed immediately. The timing was too perfect. The string quartet was playing something romantic while she tried to sell me remorse. Her smile faltered. Why do you always laugh? I'm being vulnerable. No, I said. You're being strategic. Vulnerable would have been texting me an apology a year ago, not ambushing me next to a champagne tower. She flinched. I didn't know how. You knew how to message him, I replied, still laughing. You knew exactly how. Her face reddened. That's not what I want anymore. I nodded toward the dance floor where my new girlfriend was chatting with friends. You noticed. Her gaze snapped in that direction and she froze. The jealousy was instant, raw, unfiltered. Then she recovered, eyes wet again. I'm happy for you. I laughed louder. No, you're not, she hissed. You're making me sound like a villain. You made yourself one, I said. I just stopped editing. She grabbed my hand. I'm begging you. I'm different. I was stupid. I didn't appreciate you. I looked at her hand on mine and laughed. Because it hit me how often I used to dream of her reaching for me like that. Back then it would have meant love. Now it just meant panic. I pulled my hand away. You don't miss me, I said. You miss the version of you that could still win. Her tears fell fast. People began to notice. She whispered, so you won't even talk to me? I leaned in, calm. We just did. Then I walked away to my table, to my life, while she stood under someone else's fairy lights trying to mourn a story she'd already burned down. Story 11. My ex, Kendra, emailed me a calendar invite like we were co-workers. Coffee, accountability plus closure. I accepted out of morbid curiosity. She always loved packaging chaos in neat little boxes. She arrived early and stood when I walked in, smiling like she'd rehearsed being humble. Thank you for meeting me. Don't thank me yet, I said. She sat, folded her hands. I've changed. I'm not here to blame you. I'm here to own my part. I laughed before she even finished the sentence. It just escaped. Her smile trembled. Why is that funny? Because you said my part like it was a group project, I replied. Kendra, you didn't have a part. You drove the car off the cliff. She swallowed hard. I was selfish. I was addicted to attention. I'm working on it. I nodded slowly. Who are you dating? Her eyes darted away. No one. I laughed again. Right. That's the change. You ran out of a replacement. She leaned forward, voice shaking. That's not true. I realized what I lost. Then name it, I said. Without saying support or stability, she paused too long, and I watched her scramble internally for the right answer. I lost love, she tried. I smiled. You lost a mirror. Someone who kept telling you that you were the good guy. She flinched. I'm trying to be better. I believe you, I said. But better doesn't mean back. Tears pooled. So I'm just permanently disqualified? I laughed, soft. You disqualified yourself. I just stopped petitioning the committee. When I stood to leave, she blurted, I would never do it again. I looked down at her. You already did. That's the whole problem. Story 12. My ex, Sasha, cornered me at a hardware store, of all places, next to the power drills. She used to hate stores like that. She called them husband errands. Now she was there alone, holding a cheap toolbox like it was proof of growth. Hey, she said, voice small. Can we talk? I raised an eyebrow. This is new. She took a breath. I've changed. I'm independent now. I'm humble. I wanted you to see it. I laughed, and the sound echoed off the metal shelves. Her cheeks went red. Why are you laughing? Because you're standing in aisle 9 like it's therapy, I said. You want a medal for buying a screwdriver? She tightened her grip on the toolbox. You're being mean. No, I replied. I'm being realistic. You didn't change. You're adapting. There's a difference. Her eyes watered. After the divorce, I realized I took you for granted. I nodded at the drills. And now you're here because you don't have anyone to call when the sink leaks. Her jaw clenched. That's not why. Then why did you ask my friend if I still lived nearby? I asked, and laughed again when her face flickered with panic. Yeah, he told me. She stepped closer, whispering, I miss us. I miss home. I leaned in, calm. You miss the service, not the person. Her tears spilled, quick and messy. I'm sorry. I was stupid. I shrugged. Maybe. But stupid isn't harmless. She reached out like she wanted to touch my arm. I stepped back. She whispered, So you're just done with me? I smiled, and it wasn't kind. I'm done being your repairman. I walked away, and behind me I heard her set the toolbox down like it suddenly weighed 100 pounds. Story 13. My ex, Lauren, showed up at the bar where my buddy was hosting trivia night. She walked in like she owned the room, spotted me, and her confidence immediately turned into softness, like she flipped a switch. She slid into the seat beside me. Hi. I didn't move. What do you want? She exhaled. I've changed. I know you think I'm toxic, but I've done so much work. I laughed, loud enough that my friend paused mid-question. Lauren's eyes flashed. Are you seriously going to embarrass me? I kept laughing, then leaned in. You're embarrassed because people are seeing you not getting what you want. She swallowed. I'm not here to fight. You're here to win, I said. You always were. She reached into her purse and pulled out a small keychain. It was the same stupid one I'd given her when we moved in together. I kept this. I kept all of it. I laughed harder. You kept souvenirs. Congratulations. Her voice turned sharp. I loved you. You loved being loved, I replied. There's a difference. She looked wounded. I'm different now. I don't play games. I tilted my head. Then why did you wait until there's an audience? She froze. I pointed around. You want me to be the villain in front of mutual friends so you can tell everyone? I tried. That way you get to lose and still look noble. Her eyes watered, but the anger stayed. So you're saying you won't even consider it? I laughed once, controlled. Lauren, I considered it every day while we were married. You didn't. Now you want to vote after the election. She stood abruptly, knocking her chair. Heads turned. And I did the most satisfying thing. I laughed, then looked back at the trivia board like she was just background noise. Story 14. My ex, Mia, mailed me a care package. Inside, a candle, a self-help book, and a handwritten note that started with, I've changed. I laughed so hard I scared my dog. Then she texted, Did you get it? Please read the note. So I did. It was 3 pages of soft language, curated remorse, and one sentence that made my stomach flip. I forgive you too. I laughed again, out loud, alone in my kitchen. I texted back, What exactly are you forgiving me for? She replied immediately, For not understanding me back then. That's when I called her. She answered in a whisper like she was in a movie. Hi. I didn't waste time. You don't get to forgive me. Her tone sharpened. I'm trying to heal. No, I said, laughing. You're trying to rewrite. Healing doesn't require making me the villain. She started crying. I'm different now. I've reflected. You reflected so hard you made up a new past, I replied. She snapped. Why are you being so cruel? I laughed, calm. Cruel was you telling people I was emotionally unsafe because I asked where you were at 3 a.m. Silence. Then she whispered, I just want peace. You want peace with me because you can't stand that I'm not chasing you anymore, I said. Her sobs turned into rage. So you're happy I'm suffering? I stopped laughing. I'm indifferent. And for you, that's worse than hate. She hung up. 10 minutes later, she posted a quote on Instagram about men who can't handle growth. I laughed one last time and threw the candle straight in the trash. Story 15. I was at the airport heading to a work trip when my ex, Brooke, ran up behind me near security. I hadn't seen her in a year. She looked panicked, like she'd sprinted through a lifetime of bad decisions to catch me before the gate closed. Please, she said, breathless. Just 2 minutes. I've changed. I stared at her and laughed, because this was exactly her style. Dramatic, public, timed for maximum pressure. Her eyes brimmed. Why would you laugh? I'm serious. I checked my boarding pass. 2 minutes, I said. Go. She nodded quickly. I was selfish. I cheated. I lied. I hurt you. I've been in therapy and I'm sober and I laughed mid-sentence. You're listing upgrades like you're selling a used car. Her mouth fell open. That's not fair. What's not fair, I replied, is you thinking improvement is a currency and I'm the thing you can buy back. She started crying harder. People looked. She grabbed my sleeve. I miss you. I miss our life. I laughed again, softer, and gently removed her hand. You don't miss our life. You miss my life. Her face tightened. I don't understand why you're doing this. I nodded toward my carry-on, because I remember the night you begged me not to leave, while your phone lit up with his name. You begged. You lied. You cried. Same tools. Different day, she whispered. So you'll never forgive me? I shrugged. I can forgive you and still refuse you. The TSA agent called the next group. I stepped forward. Brooke's voice cracked behind me. I really did change. I looked back once, smiling without warmth. Then you'll survive being told no. That's your first test. And I walked through security while she stood on the other side, finally realizing that begging wasn't a magic spell anymore. Story 16. My ex, Holly, waited outside my office building like she was a package delivery I didn't order. She stepped into my path the second I swiped out, clutching a paper cup of the exact latte I used to drink. I've changed, she said, before she even said hello. Can we talk? I glanced at the cup and laughed. You remembered my coffee order but forgot you had a husband? Her face pinched. That's not fair. It's accurate, I said. Say what you came to say. She took a breath, eyes glossy. I made the worst mistake of my life. I've been working on myself. Therapy. Accountability. I'm not asking for anything big. Just a chance. I laughed again because the word chance sounded like she thought I was a lottery ticket. She flinched. Why are you laughing? I'm being honest. No, I said, pointing toward the street. You're being urgent. Honest would have been showing up when I was broken, not when I'm walking out of here promoted. Her jaw tightened. I didn't know about your promotion. You knew enough to find my building, I replied. She swallowed. I'm alone. I'm not with him anymore. There it was. The real headline. I laughed softer. So your big transformation is, you got dumped. She reached for my sleeve. Please. I miss you. I stepped back. You miss what I did for you. You miss a man who would swallow pain to keep you comfortable. Tears spilled. She whispered. I'm not that person now. I nodded. Prove it by accepting this. No. Her face hardened for half a second. Then she tried to recover. So you're just going to punish me forever? I laughed one last time. Holly, punishment would be letting you back in. This is prevention. Story 17. My ex Denise sent me a voice note titled, I owe you the truth. She never liked the truth, but I played it anyway. Her voice trembled. I've changed. I'm sorry. I want to talk in person. We met at a park. She arrived carrying a folder like she was about to present a project proposal. I brought something, she said, tapping the folder. I wrote down everything I did. No excuses. I laughed. A folder. Wow, you really committed to the performance. Her eyes narrowed. This isn't a performance. I'm taking accountability. Accountability doesn't come with a binder, I said. It comes with consequences. She opened it anyway. Pages of bullet points, timelines, even a section titled, My Patterns. She looked at me like she expected applause. I've changed, she repeated. I'm self-aware now. I laughed harder. Denise, you were always self-aware. You just didn't care who paid for it. Her lip quivered. I care now. I lost everything. I nodded. Yes. That's usually when people discover morality. She slammed the folder shut. So you think I can't grow? I think you can grow, I said. But not into my life. She looked stunned. Like she'd walked in expecting a reunion and got a job rejection. So you won't even read it? She asked, voice cracking. I laughed once, controlled. I lived it. I don't need the written edition. She stood up fast, angry tears. You're so bitter. I shrugged. I'm not bitter. I'm educated. She walked away, clutching her folder like it was proof she tried. And I watched her go, laughing quietly, not at her pain, but at how she still thought effort erased impact. Story 18. My ex, Rachel, asked to meet at the diner where we used to go after couples counseling. The irony was almost impressive. She slid into the booth and immediately said, I've changed. I finally understand what I did to you. I laughed before the waitress even brought water. Rachel blinked. Are you serious? You can't even let me speak? You already did, I said. You led with, I understand, like understanding is a refund. She took a breath, forcing calm. I was entitled. I was cruel. I sabotaged us because I was scared. I nodded. That's the cleanest summary you've ever given. Her eyes brightened, thinking she'd made progress. So, you believe me? I laughed again. I believe you now. I don't believe you would have said any of this if your new boyfriend hadn't moved out. Her face went blank. How do you? Mutual friends, I said. The same ones you told I was controlling because I asked you not to flirt at my birthday party. She looked down, ashamed. I hated who I was, and I hated being married to it, I replied. She reached across the table. I'm begging. I want to earn you back. I pulled my hand away and laughed. Rachel, you don't want to earn. You want to return. She stared. What's the difference? Earning means accepting you might still lose, I said. Returning means you think there's a policy for this. Her eyes filled. So you don't miss me at all? I paused, then laughed quietly. I miss the idea I had of you. The one you sold me. But I don't miss the product I received. She cried into her napkin. I paid for my coffee and left her there with her diner booth confession. Too late, too polished, too convenient. Story 19. My ex, Ava, showed up at my door on a Sunday morning wearing sweatpants and humility. She used to treat Sundays like a runway. Now she looked like someone who'd run out of places to land. I've changed, she said immediately. Can I come in? I laughed right in her face. It was reflex. Her expression tight. Wow, she said. You're really going to laugh at me when I'm trying? I leaned against the doorframe. Ava, the last time you tried to convince the judge I was emotionally abusive because I asked you to stop spending our rent money. Her eyes darted away. I was angry. You were strategic, I corrected. So no, you can't come in. She started crying fast, like she'd practiced speed-running sorrow. I lost myself. I've been doing therapy. I'm different. I laughed again because the timing was perfect. My new partner's mug was on the counter behind me, visible from the doorway. Ava noticed it too. Her eyes flicked inside, then back to me. Jealousy flashed across her face before she could hide it. Oh, she said softly. So that's why. I chuckled. No. That's not why. That's just what you're noticing. She wiped her cheeks. I just want a conversation. Closure. You already got closure, I said. You signed it. She swallowed. I didn't mean what I did. You meant it long enough to do it, I replied. Her voice sharpened. So you'll never forgive me? I laughed, calm. Forgiveness isn't access. She stood there, shaking, then whispered, You think you're better than me now? I smiled. Not better. Just done. I closed the door gently. Through it, I heard her whisper my name like it used to work. It didn't. Story 20. My ex, Leah, sent me a long message that started with, I've changed, and I want to prove it. She ended it with, Can we meet? I'll do anything. We met at a bookstore cafe. She chose it because she knew I'd be less likely to make a scene surrounded by quiet people and self-help titles. That was still her, controlling the setting. She arrived, sat down, and immediately slid her phone toward me. Look, I deleted all my old contacts. I'm not that person anymore, I laughed, loud enough that the guy reading nearby looked up. Leah's eyes flashed. What's so funny? The fact that you think deleting numbers deletes history, I said. She inhaled, shaky. I'm trying to show you I'm serious. I laughed again. Serious would have been not doing it in the first place. She started tearing up. I was broken. I hurt you because I hated myself. I leaned back. And now you want me to reward you because you finally noticed the damage. She grabbed her cup like it was an anchor. I miss us. I miss being your wife. I laughed, softer. You miss the title, not the responsibility. Her voice rose. That's not true. People glanced over. She lowered it quickly, then tried a sweeter tone. Tell me what I can do. That's when I laughed the hardest. You still don't get it. The old you always believed there was a task list that would make me stay. She stared at me, stunned. There isn't, I said. There's only time, and you spent it. Her tears fell. She whispered, So you're really done. I stood up, tossed a few bills on the table, and smiled like I was finally in on the joke. Leah, I was done the day you begged me to trust you. While you were hiding the truth, I walked out, and behind me she whispered, I really did change. I didn't even turn around. I just laughed, because if she'd changed, she wouldn't need me to certify it. Story 21. My ex, Paige, asked to meet at a quiet restaurant to talk like adults. I showed up because I'm a divorced man, not a dead one. I still like learning what kind of logic people use to justify the same mess twice. She arrived wearing the necklace I bought her. First move, nostalgia. I've changed, she said, voice soft. I'm not asking for a reset. I'm asking for a conversation. I laughed into my water. She blinked, offended. That's not funny. No, I said. It's predictable. Her eyes filled. I know what I did. I know I ruined it. I've been in therapy. I've been doing the work. I laughed again. You've been doing the work for 3 months and you want a lifetime benefit package. She inhaled sharply. I'm trying to make it right. I leaned forward. Then make it right without asking me for anything. Silence. She stared at me like I'd spoken another language. But I am asking. I'm asking you to consider. That's the point, I said, smiling. You can't apologize without attaching a request. Her lip trembled. I miss you. You miss having someone who didn't walk away, I replied. Which is ironic because you're the reason I learned. She whispered, he left me. I laughed softly. There it is. That's the whole speech in 5 words. She looked wounded. You're being cruel. No, I said. Cruel would be letting you believe this is love. This is panic. She reached across the table, eyes pleading. Please. I laughed once, controlled. Paige, you begged me to be mature when you wanted out. So here I am, mature enough to say no. Story 22. My ex, Tara, showed up at my brother's barbecue like she still had a membership. I hadn't invited her. No one had. But she walked in carrying a tray of cookies like she was auditioning for Most Improved Ex-Wife. She caught me near the grill. Hi, she said, breathless. I've changed. I laughed so fast my brother looked over like something exploded. Tara's eyes sharpened. Seriously? In front of everyone? You came here in front of everyone, I said. You wanted a stage. Her voice dropped. I just wanted to show you I'm different. I'm stable. I'm not chaotic anymore. I laughed again. Tara, you're literally crashing a family event. This is chaos with sprinkles. She flinched. I'm trying to make amends. I even baked. Cookies don't cover court, I said. You told a judge I was controlling because I asked you not to take money from our savings without telling me. Her face went pale. I was angry. I didn't mean it. You meant it long enough to say it, I replied. She swallowed. I've been alone. I realized I pushed away the only person who... I laughed, cutting her off. Who paid the bills? Who cleaned up your mess? Who absorbed your moods? She started tearing up. People nearby slowed down, listening. I leaned in, calm. If you've changed, you'll respect my life, which means you'll leave. Her tears turned into anger. So I'm just a joke to you now? I smiled. No. You're a lesson. She walked out stiffly, leaving the cookies on a table nobody touched. Later, my brother asked what she wanted. I laughed and said, a witness to her apology. Story 23. My ex Jasmine called me from a number I didn't recognize. The last time I heard her voice, she was shouting that I'd never do better. Now she sounded like someone asking for a loan. I've changed, she said. Can you please meet me? Just 5 minutes. We met in the parking lot of a supermarket. She chose public, of course, where she could cry and I'd look like a monster if I didn't comfort her. She stood there, twisting her hands. I'm not the same person. I've been working on myself, I laughed. It came out tired, not amused. Jasmine, you used to work on yourself every time you got caught? Her face tightened. That's not fair. It's accurate, I said. What do you want? She took a breath. I lost my apartment. I'm staying with a friend. I need help. And there it was. The real purpose. I laughed again. So the change is that you need me again. Her eyes flashed with humiliation. I knew you'd do this. You always look down on me. No, I said. I'm looking at you clearly. She stepped closer. I would do anything to fix what I broke. I nodded. Then fix it by not trying to make me your solution. Her lips trembled. So you won't help me at all? I shrugged. I'll send you resources. I'll tell you where shelters are. I'll help you stay safe. But I won't be your husband. She stared like she couldn't process it. You're laughing because you enjoy this. I stopped laughing. I'm laughing because you still think love equals access. She turned away fast, wiping tears like she was angry at her own face. I really did change, she muttered. If you did, I said quietly, you wouldn't be testing me. You'd be rebuilding yourself. Story 24. My ex, Monica, mailed me a letter with perfume on it. Actual perfume. Like scent could time travel me back into tolerating her. The letter started, I've changed. I laughed out loud, then read the rest anyway. She wrote about healing, growth, and finally understanding. Then she asked if we could meet to talk about us. I agreed, but not because I wanted her back. I wanted to see if she still thought she could charm her way around reality. We met at a park. She showed up glowing. New hair, new clothes, new confidence. She sat down beside me and said softly, I'm not the same woman. I laughed. You're right. The same woman wouldn't waste perfume on paper. Her smile faltered. Why are you being rude? I'm not rude, I said. I'm immune. She inhaled. I know I hurt you. I know I was selfish. But I want you to see me now. I nodded. Okay. I see you. Her eyes brightened. You're here because you heard I'm engaged, I said. The color drained from her face. I laughed again. My cousin mentioned you interrogated her at a baby shower. You didn't come for closure. You came for competition. She tried to recover, voice trembling. I didn't mean, you never do, I replied. But you always do it anyway. Her tears came fast. So you're just laughing at my pain? I leaned back. No, Monica. I'm laughing at the audacity. You burned the house down and now you're asking if you can move back in because you bought a fire extinguisher. She covered her mouth, sobbing. I just want one more chance. I smiled. I gave you years. Story 25. My ex, Elise, approached me at the bank while I was signing paperwork. The last time I saw her, she was screaming that I'd crawl back. Now she hovered behind me like a ghost with manners. Hey, she said quietly. I've changed. I turned, saw the nervous smile, and laughed. The banker glanced up like I'd said something inappropriate. Elise's face tightened. Why are you laughing? Because you're wearing the same soft voice you used when you wanted me to forget what you did, I said. She swallowed. I deserve that. I do. But I'm different. I'm calmer. I'm not impulsive. I nodded toward the waiting area. You followed me into a bank. That's impulsive with good lighting. Her eyes watered. I miss you. I miss our life. I laughed again, and it sounded almost like relief. You miss the security. You miss knowing someone would catch you. She flinched. That's not true. I leaned in, lowering my voice. Elise, the day I moved out, you said I'd fail without you. 2 weeks later, you texted asking how to reset the router. Her cheeks went red. She whispered. I was embarrassed. Good, I said. Embarrassment is the beginning of growth. She looked hopeful. So, there's a chance? I laughed hard enough I had to breathe out slowly. No. There's proof. Proof of what? She asked, shaking. Proof that you can survive without me, I said. That's the only change I care about. Her tears fell anyway, but she didn't grab me, didn't raise her voice, didn't threaten. She just stood there, quiet. And for the first time, I didn't laugh at her. I laughed at myself, forever thinking she was the only future I had. Story 26. My ex, Corinne, booked a session with my barber. Same day, same time. When I walked in and saw her sitting in the waiting area like it was a coincidence, I laughed out loud before I could stop myself. She looked up, startled, then tried to smile. Hey, I didn't know you came here. Sure, I said, still laughing. You just accidentally found the one place I've gone every month for 2 years. She stood up slowly. I've changed. I wanted a chance to say that to your face. I took a seat and waved at my barber. Say it. Then let me get my hair cut. Her eyes filled. You don't have to be like this. Like what? I asked. Aware? She swallowed. I'm not that person anymore. I'm calmer. I'm not manipulative. I laughed harder. My barber paused, scissors in hand, like he wasn't sure if he should call security. Corinne's voice sharpened. Why are you laughing? Because this is manipulation, I said. You picked a place where I'd be trapped in a chair. She froze. I just wanted closure. You want control, I replied. Closure doesn't require an ambush. She tried again, softer. I'm sorry. I cheated. I lied. I blamed you. I was disgusting. I nodded. That's true. Her eyes brightened at the agreement. So you believe me? So maybe... I laughed once, short. No. You said facts. That's not change. That's a summary. She stepped closer. Please. I miss you. My barber called my name. I stood. If you've changed, I said, prove it by leaving. She stared at me like I'd asked her to cut off a limb. Then she sat down again, silent. I laughed as I walked to the chair. Not because it was funny, because it was the most honest answer she could give. Story 27. My ex, Sandra, asked to meet for a walk at the same river path where she used to accuse me of not being romantic enough. She arrived wearing running shoes and humility, like she'd dressed for repentance. I've changed, she said immediately. I've learned to communicate. I don't blame you anymore. I laughed. You don't blame me anymore? That must be exhausting. Her eyes flashed. I'm trying to be sincere. Then be sincere, I said. Why now? She hesitated. Because I've been thinking. I laughed again. Thinking? Sandra, you remarried 6 months after the divorce. Her face went pale. That was a mistake. There it is, I said. You didn't change. You upgraded too fast and got a lemon. Tears rose. He's not who I thought he was. I nodded. Neither were you. She reached for my arm. Please. I'm begging. I'm not asking you to fix my life. I'm asking you to let me back in. I laughed, shaking my head. That's literally asking me to fix your life. She pulled her hand back like I'd burned her. I miss the way you loved me. You mean the way I tolerated you, I replied. Her face crumpled. I'm different now. I stopped walking and looked at her. Then do something different. Don't argue. Don't cry harder. Don't threaten. Just accept no. She opened her mouth, then closed it. Tears fell anyway, but she stayed quiet. For a second, I almost believed it. Then she whispered, if you loved me at all, you'd try. I laughed. And there you are.